In today's video, I'm going to give you a complete beginner's guide to the Productive Bees Minecraft mod. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know from getting started all the way to some more advanced features as a part of this mod pack. So let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing you do when starting out is you need to get yourself some honey. And we're going to be doing this just like you would in normal vanilla Minecraft. So the first thing you need to do is find yourself a bee nest. And a bee nest looks like this. It can spawn naturally in the wild, and depending on what kind of mod pack you're playing, you'll actually find this commonly in the biome known as flowering forest. So once you've gone ahead and found one of these, we're going to need to go ahead and harvest the honey. And there are two main ways you can harvest the honey. The first way is going to be with shears, and the second way is going to be with glass bottle. Now, if you go ahead and use the shears, you're going to get yourself some honeycomb, and if you use the bottle, you're going to get yourself a bottle of honey. Now, when you're doing this, I would recommend using a campfire underneath. The reason for this is just that if there's bees inside of it, then this will calm them down and you won't get attacked by them. So you basically prevent yourself from getting injured. So you can go ahead and just shear it, and you can see we've gone ahead and got the honey out of that there. And that is now over here in our inventory. And also, as I said, you can do it with the honey with the bottle, and you just right click it and you're going to get a bottle of honey. So that's the first step, is going ahead and actually getting yourself some honey, and this is completely vanilla Minecraft for now. But something else I would highly recommend as a part of progressing through this mod is using the mystical agriculture honey seeds. And the reason we want to use this is because it means that we can get a very large supply of honeycomb, which is pretty essential as we go through the mod. So for this, all you need to do is get yourself some kind of farmland. You can get yourself some honey seeds. If you want to get an accelerator, you can put that underneath, and then a watering can, and you're just going to water it, and that's going to make the process very quick. And you're going to get this plant here. If you right click on it, it's going to pop out, and you're going to get yourself some honey essence here. And then with this honey essence, you can go ahead and actually use this in a crafting table, and you can use it with a bottle like this, and you'll get yourself some honey bottle, or you can go ahead like this and get yourself some honeycomb. So I'd recommend going ahead and setting up some kind of farm with this. If you're not too sure about how to set this up, I have a video on the channel about how to do that. But now that we've got the base materials, let's move on to the next step. So next up, I want to speak to you about some of the core items and kind of what they do and how you can use them. So first of all, the most important item inside of this mod pack is going to be the honey trees. Now this is going to be used for many different things, and I would recommend automating the production of this via some other mod. So this is one way you can craft with honey blocks and honeycomb, and it'll make this. You'll get 4 of them, or you can go for honeycomb and a bottle of honey. So I'd recommend going ahead and automating this because you're going to need them. And the next thing I want to show you is going to be the hives. So within the mod pack, there's going to be this thing called an advanced beehive, and there's many different types of them. If you type in advanced beehive, you're going to see there's so many different types here. You can see there's some by productive trees, and if you scroll down, there'll be some by productive bees down here. All of these, looks like there's so many different types. These are just different decorations. So they all do the same thing. It doesn't matter which one you have, they all can work. So you can go ahead and get the most basic one, or if you want to make one that looks a bit different, you can go ahead and grab one. And alongside that, there's going to be an item called a pine expansion box. Now the use of this is to expand your box. And it's not called a pine, it's just called an expansion box, but this is a pine one. But I've got pine one and a regular one together. And as you can see, I've placed it over here. So this is the regular advanced beehive. And what we can go ahead and do is we can use the pine expansion box to expand this. So we can just click next to it, and now that has expanded it into a bigger hive. And we can also go and do one above as well. So it doesn't matter what direction you do it in, as long as it's not touching another hive, it's going to expand that. So by itself, it's going to have 3 slots, and then with this, it's going to have 5. So it's just like an expansion for this, and it's a pretty useful block to go ahead and use. Now let's talk about the main breeders and that kind of thing. So let's talk about this thing here called the breeding chamber. This is the recipe for it. Pretty simple. and the breeding chamber is going to be used to breed different types of bees together to get another kind of bee. Now what you'll notice is it shows this kind of icon here, and this is going to be a bee cage. And I'll show you a bit more about how this works later, but essentially the bee cage is what you're going to use to capture and transport the bees to then go ahead and put into here. If we click onto these love hearts here, we're going to see a load of different recipes for breeding the bees. So you can see you have 2 bees, and then you're generally going to have some kind of flower underneath it that's needed. And by putting those together, you're going to go ahead and breed it for the bee. And what you can do in the sidebar here is you can type in the bee that you need. So let's say we want to go ahead and grab I know this one here. Okay, that's not the right one. Let's say this one here. Let's say we want a titanium bee. For that, you're going to have to breed a diamond bee and an iron bee, and you're going to have to use these plants, and it's going to go ahead and get you this. So you have to capture them in here, put them in here, and it will turn into this basically. So that's how you breed them. There's also a thing here called a bee incubator, and this is going to speed up baby bee growth, and it requires honey or honey treats to grow, so you can use that to speed up the growth basically. Now next over here, I'm going to show you how to actually use a comb that you've got from a hive. So this is unobtainium comb, and you're going to be using these things called centrifuges. There's 3 different types. This one is a regular one. It requires 0 power, and I can just go ahead and put this in, and it's going to start converting the honeycomb into the resources. There we go. Now over here we have a powered one, so you can go ahead and power this. This one is a lot faster. And then finally you have a heated one. So the only difference is that this is the slowest one and these are faster. So go ahead and get these if you want fast upgrades essentially. But you can see here it's going ahead and it's going to get us unobtainium. It depends on the drop rates and the conversion rates sort of thing. But it should go ahead and turn it into what we need. There you go, and you can see the rate is a 10% chance. So 10% chance you're going to get obtainium nuggets from one of these, and you're going to get wax as well. And then finally over here we have this thing called a catcher, and the way that the catcher works is it's going to capture bees in a 3x3x3 cube above it. And this is just basically automatically going to catch them, and it's pretty useful for different things. So if we recap, this is going to be breeding the bees, and this over here is going to be the production of the bees. So now that we've covered some of these core blocks, let's talk about bees themselves, how to find them, breeding them, that kind of thing. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to actually find the bees and how to get them to start producing the resources. So the first thing is we want to find the bee that we want to make. So let's say we want to produce iron with our bees. We want to go into the JEI config here, and or the JEI search bar, and we want to go over and find the bee. So here we've got the iron bee. Now to make the iron bee, we're going to have to combine or breed the crystalline bee and the ashy mining bee. So what we want to do is go ahead and click into this, and then we're going to find what hives these can be found at. So this bee here can be found at the quartz nest, and it's also important to note that this item here is going to be the spawning item to actually get the bee to spawn in here. You can even click into the nest here and press this little I, and this is going to tell you where you can find it. So this is going to be in the nether. And you can see here I've actually got some examples here. I have this stone one, and you can see here that the stone one, you're going to need this item to spawn the bee. And something to also note is that if there are multiple options here, you can see that this has 2 different options. It means that there's a random chance between which one spawns in the nest. So let's say we've gone and we've found ourselves the stone nest. We can now go ahead, right click on it, and you're going to see that it's starting the repopulation cooldown. At the top you can see it's going to take 1190 something seconds, and the more we use the spawning item on the hive, the faster it's going to be, and eventually when it runs down to 0, a new bee should pop out of it. There we go. So you can see a new bee has now come out of that. So what we can do from earlier is we can use the bee cage, and we can go ahead and collect the bees, just like that. Now, something like an obsidian nest, if we go ahead and look into that, this here is going to have slightly different requirements. So you can see that this is going to require a dragon's breath in order to spawn in this item from the hive. So different hives require different spawning items, and I recommend looking into that before you go find them, because some items, like this is going to be relatively hard to go ahead and get. So let's say we've gone ahead now and we've collected both of the bees that we need. So we've got this bee and this bee. Let's say we both have those. We also need to go ahead and collect some kind of spawning item here for the breeding. Now this is usually flowers, but it can depend on the bees that you're breeding, so just check into that, and you can always do that by clicking into here, and you can always hover over and press the U key, and that'll tell you the usage. So let's say we've gone ahead and got those. We're going to go over to the breeding chamber I spoke about earlier, and the breeding chamber is going to require some kind of power. So this is going to be using FE power here, and I've got it hooked up to this creative energy cell just so I can have infinite. And you see it's filled up here. So what I've gone ahead and done here is I've put in the bee cage of an osmium bee and the bee cage of an obsidian bee, as well as the breeding flowers here. So this one is dorsal, but you can use any of them. So what I mean by this is it rotates between which items you can use, and it will show you a full list down there of which items you can use. So you don't have to use a specific one, just one out of the list. So anyway, I've gone ahead and I've put these all together here, and we now have our bee, refined obsidian bee. Now this will take a while to load, so if you don't see any progress for a second or two, just wait and you'll slowly see this will start going. We can then go ahead and grab our bee cage, and we can stick that here, and we've got ourselves the bee cage with the refined obsidian bee in it. Just like that. And now you can see the process is going to start again, and you can see it's going very slowly. It looks like it's barely moving, but it is working. So now that we've gone ahead and got the bee cage, we can actually right click on the floor, and that is going to put the bee out. But as you can see earlier, we spoke about this here, which is the incubator. This here is going to allow us to incubate the bee so it will grow faster. Let me just find this one here. You can go into here and you can see the recipes, and it's basically going to grow them up. We also need to put honey treats in there. And it should go ahead and start growing into the adult bee essentially. So now that we've gone ahead and we have our bee in a cage, we can go ahead and actually start getting them to produce the desired resource. Now in here I've created a cage. I would recommend creating yourself a little cage here, and what we can do is we can go ahead and right click on the floor with our bee cage, and that's going to spawn in the bee. Now in this case here we have got iron bees, and they're going to be producing iron. So the way this works is if we go over here onto the iron bee, we can hover over it and press U. It's going to tell us what it's going to produce. So it's going to produce iron, it's going to produce pollen puffs. If we go over here to the bee flowering option, it's going to teach us what kind of flower or what kind of resource is needed inside of the cage for them to produce the resource. So you can see here that we can use many different things such as iron ore, iron blocks, iron doors, anvils, hoppers, all of those different things we can place inside their cage, and they're going to go ahead and use that to generate the resource. So what I've done is I've gone ahead, I've placed them down, I've placed in the advanced pine beehive, and I've also placed the iron ore on the floor, and as you can see they're going around, they're spinning in circles on top of it, they're bringing it into the hive, and then that is producing the iron comb that we spoke about earlier. And of course for different bees it's going to be a different requirement of item inside of here. So just bear that in mind. Depending on the bee that you're wanting to generate resources, it's going to be a different item. But now that here is the production automated for these bees, and we can go ahead, we can put it into the centrifuge here, and it's going to start turning the iron comb into the iron, and we can press U and we can see that we have a 40% chance of getting raw iron from it every time we smelt it. Boom, just like that. You're also going to see you've got some honey here, so you can also use that however you want to. If you found this video useful, be sure to go down below, like and subscribe, comment down below that helped, and check out the part 2 of this video series for the Productive Bees mod. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.